Hello, hello, and welcome to this Tarot Live. So this is going to be a romance reading. Let's see what we got going on here. Hopefully you guys can see me all right. I might just change setting there quickly. Okay. So I thought I would come on a little bit earlier. I said I was coming on at 7, but I wanted to do kind of like a secret card pull. So if you're watching and or you're catching the replay, then this is going to be for you. So I'm going to pull from the Oracle of the Shapeshifters book by Lucy Cavendish. And this is going to be a message to you from our higher self and our guides and our counsel. So let's see what message is for those who are watching right now. For their highest and best. There we go. Okay, so this message has to do with your love life, your relationships, what's going on right now in terms of the energy right before we go into Venus retrograde. So here we go. Many of us are overcoming a lot of setbacks, a lot of challenges in love, and this could also be within our relationship to ourselves. So the card that I pulled is the unending sadness of looking back. And this one says endless regret, obsessive grief, replaying the past, negative nostalgia, and it resonates to the number 36 or 9, which indicates endings. So we have had some endings of what no longer served us. We have had endings of relationships with ourselves and others that were built on faulty foundations. So there wasn't enough stability within ourselves to actually then come into partnership with somebody else and be able to evolve into that stable foundation that both people, at the bottom of their heart truly desire. But for one reason or another, the timing was off, or there was work to do with one partner, a little soul searching. One person was committed, the other person might not have been, or one person had been through a lot of experiences. Hi, Teresa, how you doing? That the other just didn't, have that confidence level yet. So they may have felt that they weren't worthy, that they weren't good enough for you. And of course, that's a lot of inner self-esteem issues. So for those watching, if you're recovering from trust issues or betrayals, this card is indicating that it is time to move your energy forward and in the present. And so if you find yourself being kind of taken aback into a vortex of pain, suffering, guilt, there's this idea and concept that I was talking about on my channel this week, which is when we're hurt, it's really tempting and it's a natural response to put the walls up. Because when you're hurt or you don't see something coming or you don't understand something about yourself or the dynamics that led to a certain outcome, then, you can be in a state of confusion and a state of despair. So your natural tendency is going to be to look back, and it's also going to be to protect and guard yourself. And so what this card is also indicating is that it's time to let go of this little beetle. The beetle wants to be free to evolve and expand and transform. And as long as we're holding on to what we remember as the past version of things, then we can't allow it to heal and evolve. And so if you're willing to shift that energy forward, because really what it does, it keeps us entrapped in a pain cycle. So if this relationship was a victim, perpetrator, rescuer type dynamic, or empath, narcissist type dynamic, then you would have had something called a trauma bond at work, which means that in early childhood, you would have had trauma to your psyche and your development where you learn to seek validation or love outside of yourself, and it wasn't really freely given. So the other person might have been mentally unstable or volatile. And so the pattern wasn't there wasn't any security or stability in having your needs met. So you learn to adapt to that other person. And so really you learned your identity through default in terms of pleasing or moving around this kind of volatile person. It could have been mother, it could have been father, but someone close to you, someone that assisted in your development as a child. And so we're breaking those bonds, we're claiming freedom. And in order to do that, we need to let go of the past hurts, not forget them necessarily. We can still utilize that to process for the future. But when we're holding on really tight or we've got those walls up, what happens is the pain is actually trapped inside. So if you picture it like a little bubble, the pain is trapped inside and you are sitting there with your pain. And if it has nowhere to go because your heart's closed and the walls are up, then, it's really suffocating in there. And so if you found that you're doing all this work and you want to let go, but you are having trouble doing so, then start visualizing, trusting yourself again, and visualizing being protected. And having those walls come down and that heart open up again, trusting your intuition and your gut instincts to help you move forward into the future, and really allowing that energy to be transmuted. And you can say, I give it up to my guides or to Mother Gaia, who has a very infinite potential to transmute those energies. So share your pain at this point. Don't hold on to it all by yourself, because every one of us is going through something very, very profound at this time. And it looks different for each of us because each of us have different idiosyncrasies in terms of what patterns we allowed to hinder our progress forward, subconsciously or consciously. And now we're really being held responsible for the way we treat others, the way we treat ourselves, and how we can actually move into the relationship that we really desire, which is an equal, reciprocal energy of giving and receiving and being valued for who you are. And so being able to take the masks off and show up and be honest and truthful, and also risk being hurt. So learning to develop that confidence, learning to develop a strength of character and self-worth so strong that you can risk rejection, that you can share your feelings and actually have that be of service to yourself and not so much about the response. I mean, of course, you're going to be invested in a response if you like someone and you say, I love you. These are my feelings for you. I couldn't share them before because I was too afraid or whatnot. And then you risk rejection. So that's ultimately a huge act of courage. So that's the message to start off with, a little secret message for those of you who tuned in early. Welcome. Thank you for joining on the channel. Feel free to like or subscribe if you enjoy these messages. So let's get into a little bit of a deeper read on what's happening for you guys in terms of your love life. What's going on in the world of romance? Because there's so much transformation and change. It can be really difficult to get a pinpoint energetically on, are you enjoying your independence? Do you want to stay single? Is there someone in your energetic field that you can feel? And or is there, a spiritual connection or energetic attachment with someone that you can feel instinctively or intuitively, and you're wondering more about that. So I got this new card deck, Return of Spirit by Cheryl Lee Harnish. And she's really amazing. Check her YouTube videos out as well. She's fantastic. And she works with fractal images. So all of her cards have these beautiful, beautiful fractal images. And you know how, colors, frequencies, there's a lot of different vibrations, energies. And so you guys really tap into the colors and any symbolism that pops up for you individually in the card. And feel free to post your comments there, how a particular image influences you. So I'll just go through a couple here, but this is the type of image that will be coming up in our romance reading today. So I love those cards. I've purchased them as a gift before, but I didn't have any of hers of my own, so I finally picked some up. And these are the other cards I'm going to be, hi, Kiki, promoting today, or, revealing or whatnot. These are the affirmators card for love and relationships. So hopefully we'll get a good idea of what's going on with some of these. These ones are a little bit different. So they're not really like the normal. So I'll have to read them because I just got them. I'm not very familiar. But I love the art, the artwork on the front there with the narwhal and the octopus is just awesome. And the starfish. So anyways, we'll go through these, see what kind of messages come out, and hopefully we'll get some answers for moving forward this week and this month. And I'll probably clarify with Doreen Virtue's romance deck. So an oldie but a goodie, and always with clarifiers because the deck in itself just leaves a little bit to be desired. So let's get going. Let's see what we've got here. Let's start with Cheryl's deck. So this reading, we'll do past, present, future for romance. Hey, how's it going? And let's get the show. Oh, that one was absolute. There was no question there about that one. That one too. Okay. And depending on the length of the reading, how many people are online for the live, I will do personal card pulls if possible at the end. So I'll try to leave some space for that. All right. So let's do, sorry guys, hang in with me. I wanted to pull the cards with your guys' energy. So whoever was online, here we are. What do we want to know for the future? Ooh, future is sticky. There we go. Future, so many possibilities, infinite possibilities. This is the card I pulled for myself for earlier, and I'll share it with you guys because it's just so absolutely beautiful. And this one is art by Jody Bergsman. I think she actually does the deck as well. It's a Spirit of the Animal Oracle. And it says, infinite possibilities. You are the sovereign of the seen and unseen worlds. The magic of love surrounds you. Beauty transforms you. Listen to the spirits of light. Abandon the darkness. Go beyond the ordinary and become the legendary. And so for that secret card pull that I did at the very beginning, just a reminder, abandon the darkness. So it's time to move back to the light. We will have a lot of time to integrate what we've gathered from the darkness. So we don't need to stay there. Our subconscious and our higher self will remind us when we need that information at the time as we move forward. But it's really important for us to move our energy into the direction of what we want instead of what didn't work out. So really, really focusing on the possibilities of transformation, the true possibilities of evolution, growth, and change, instead of looking back and going, well, that was a mistake, that was a fault, that was a weakness, and that kind of energy. So we're just going to drop that. Drop the burdens, drop the baggage for now with whatever work you've done already, and move into the future energies of, stability, strong foundations, long-term, and authenticity. So the deeper we go on this journey, the more shedding we do and the more masks that come off. So here we go. I'm interested to see what these affirmators reveal. They're so fun. They're so bright. Like, wham! All right. Okay. Let's see what we got going on here. Seeing if I can move the... Oh, that's too bad. I'll have to play with that after. I want to try to move the comments down, but I can't quite see them. Okay. Keep the comments coming. All right. So... let's see, what are we coming out of? What energies are we transitioning out of right now? Violet flame. This is so pretty. So let's see, what's the violet flame? Baby, what's the violet flame? Let's see what kind of game we're playing. Most of us experience a dark or difficult time at some point or another in our lives. And though it may feel like it will never end, right? That card, it's reassurance. Or never be better, the Violet Flame card is here to tell you that it will be. The only way to conquer the shadows in our life is to turn off all the lights and face the darkness head on. This is a process of purification. The violet flame shines its light, providing you with the way and means to see your way out of the inner darkness. Once the shadows have been conquered, the experience you are having right now, although painful and challenging, is providing you with the means and opportunity to clearly see what is and is not working in your life anymore. It can help you to see how you have been allowing yourself to be in the world and how you have been holding yourself back. It can help bring the clarity to recognize the people who help serve your highest good and those who do not. So those who support you and give equally, or those who just take from you and don't give back any of that support or energy. In the center of the fractal image is the symbol of the bat. So here we are taking a looky-loo at that. I'm trying to take, oh yeah, it's very, very small. I don't think it's possible to see it online here. So in animal medicine, the bat is a symbol of change. He holds the light of the violet flame for you as a means of guiding you through this process of change. When you do make your way back, you will find that neither you nor your life is exactly the same as before. Change is an inevitable part of this process. It is nearly complete, sweet soul. Just know that once you have made your way through, you will be stronger, both within yourself and on your journey. You will have more clarity about your path and how you want to walk it. So that is absolutely beautiful. Oh, you can see. Good. Good. I'm glad you can see those wingies. What an amazing message. So rebirth, spreading our wings. And like I was saying before I pulled the card, really we have that ability to pull from what we learned from the darkness. And it is time to move forward, because if you stay in the darkness too long, you can get really exhausted. So our clarifying card for that is Honeymoon. It says, enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. So what I'm actually getting from this is kind of ironic, but a honeymoon away from the darkness. So moving away from what no longer served us and actually having this angelic guidance at our back. And it also has the full moon energy here. So moon cycles will be really important at this time. So if you haven't paid attention to them already, start paying attention to what's going on in your life around the new moon and the full moon cycles. So even maybe just having a little journal and just go, okay, this is where my thought processes are. Are they more looking back? Are they present? Are they more futuristic? And what am I nostalgic about right now? Or what are my goals? So it's a good way to kind of check in with yourself to see where your focus is. And to clarify that with our new affirmators card, vulnerability. Wow. I was talking about that at the beginning. So there's not too much going on here, so I'll just read. I allow myself to talk about my feelings without fear of external judgment or internal drama. When I express my feelings, a couple of funny things happen. I feel like a kindergartner. Everything gets lighter, easier, and filled with the comforting glow of honesty. Hey, no wonder kindergartners seem to have so much fun and are stress-free. So this is actually really interesting because it seems like very counterintuitive to find vulnerability out of the darkness, because usually when we come out of that situation that is very painful, that it's very challenging, where things are illuminated within ourselves and others. So we realize, the commitment issues, we realize insecurity, we realize self-worth issues going on. And it can be really sad and, create a lot of grief, because you're trying to process your own emotions and your own disappointment in how you thought things were going to be, or wanting to control a situation for a specific outcome. But there's two energies and there's more than one perspective involved. And there's the energy of the ego and there's an energy of a higher self and compassion. So there's everything all mixed into one. There's fear, there's shame, there's guilt, there's anxiety, there's love, there's forgiveness, there's compassion. And sometimes it just gets all blobbed together. And that's the energy of the anxiety and the cycle that, it feels hard to disentangle yourself from, to get clarity and a new perspective. And so that's why this honeymoon energy is needed, to really come home to yourself and go, okay, these are the issues in which I brought to the table and I'm willing to work on and take responsibility for. And now I see what the issues of the other person were or are. And it's their responsibility to work on those for themselves. And that's a free will choice. So they can, actually take responsibility and evolve, or they can not take responsibility and you evolve and move out of that sphere. So really an energy of attraction happening with frequency changes. So people moving in and out or coming back or doing the work, it really depends on what level of change and surrender and flow you're willing to tap into. So the vulnerability thing too, it's such an intense process, as I was describing at the beginning, of taking the walls down to let the pain out if you've experienced suffering or challenge. Vulnerability as well, it's all about self-worth, because if you are seeking validation outside of yourself, so if you say, okay, well, if this person doesn't love me back, or this person doesn't say yes, then, it wasn't worth it in the first place, or I'm not valuable, or I'm not worth it, or I'm ugly, or whatever it is that the narrative that goes on in your mind, then that's kind of like, here, have this, tell me if I'm worthy or valid, then I'll take it back and go, oh, okay, if you say so. So the energy that we're moving into and embodying right now is, I am confident enough and I'm building and have built my self-worth and value of myself to a healthy state of regard, where I acknowledge when energy is not, in alignment, and you have boundaries and you can say no. And by that, you can also accept when someone else says no. So it's a very interesting energy to be in, to actually allow yourself to be rejected or redirected, or bring yourself to that state of flow that you can actually share what's in your heart. So you can actually say, I love you, or I miss you, or I didn't value you enough, or it's time for me to move on. I care for you deeply. However, right? Like whatever is truly in your heart, it takes a lot of vulnerability to express that. And it also takes equal vulnerability for someone to truly listen to another person expressing their truth. So right now we have, in the past, issues revolving around vulnerability and not being able to actually speak our truths, because we weren't really clear on who we were and what our quote unquote faults were. So things that we needed to work on in terms of subconscious patterning from our childhood trauma and our past energies that we just hadn't quite dealt with yet. So that's for the past energies. So hopefully that is resonating with you guys there. Let's see what we're working with right now. What are our present energies? Oh, hello. We got some more purple. My favorite color is purple. So divinity. Look at this beauty. Holy macaroni. I love this. I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing like butterfly, angel, higher being. There's a lot of energies, maybe even birth. Like it looks like maybe even a mother energy birthing. So if you have anything that you see, put it in the comments there. that comes to you. But I'm going to read this card out, and let's see what this energy of divinity is bringing us in our relationships right now. And as I come to know the cards, I won't be reading from the book, but for this one, for the introduction, I'm definitely reading from the book here. So you're beautiful. Hi. You're a beautiful, wise, and loving soul who has braved the perils and difficulty of incarnation to be here on earth and in service to humanity. You uplift the energy and consciousness of others through the work that you do, whether you are aware of it or not. So some of you may be active healers. You might be working in the health industry. Some of you do acknowledge that there's a higher consciousness, and some of you may just be starting on that journey. So it says there are billions of souls residing on the planet at this time, yet only a small number of them are here to help humanity evolve to its fullest potential. And you are one of those souls. It says, who you are is a gift to this world. Even at the best of times, it can be difficult to remember this, especially when being human feels so real. So saying that there is a higher purpose for you, there is something extra that you have been required to sacrifice through these dark times because you chose to come here not just to evolve personally, but you did come here to serve and be a greater part of humanity in terms of the collective consciousness and the expansion of that. Your connection to spirit is much stronger than you think. You are a living, breathing channel of the divine. It moves through you in all that you do. It flows through the words that you speak, even when you don't intend to. In every situation, you are a transmitter of the higher cosmic energies and wisdom. It is those who have the greatest gifts who most often face the biggest challenges in life. Hold your head up and keep your faith. These challenges are the means to seeing and understanding the strength, wisdom, and compassion you hold within yourself. On a higher level, your soul chose to have a direct experience of the trials you have faced. Through each event, you have become better equipped and skilled so that you in turn could help others. And this is very true. And I know for myself, this is definitely very prevalent. When I learn something in my personal life, it almost always happens that my clients who are coming in, that's exactly what they need help with. And so I've noticed that as a repeating pattern for some time now. And I'm sure you guys will notice that too. It says, you're a very special soul with an important part to play in the healing and betterment of the people on this planet. You are born to be in service to humanity through the divine gifts and knowledge you have carried with you into this lifetime. You are here to ignite the light in others to realize their own divinity. So, it is about this awakening energy in terms of when you are authentic, when you recognize your value, when you recognize your worth, and you go, okay, I'm part of something bigger. I'm connected in to the divine, to the universe, to spirit, to a God, whatever it is for you, because it's personal for each of us. You start to recognize this collective feeling in that you're kind of relinquishing your ego a little bit, or that individuation where you know that you are unique and you're contributing to the universe or this experience in life with your friends, with your family, on the level of who you are. So Mollie's experience. But at the same time, you're recognizing that there's this deeper aspect to you, this consciousness, this inner innate light being that moves forward and remembers and has all this ancient wisdom that you carry at all times, and that you came into this lifetime with that. And essentially, when we're thinking about true power and true energy from the heart, it's just about taking off the societal energies or the opinions and projections of others, and pain projections and pain stories. We're actually just removing that so that the light can shine again unencumbered. So it's not really that we're adding anything. We are learning and we are experiencing and we are expanding. But we don't necessarily need to add anything. We just need to remember to reveal our true self. And that's something that's important to remember when you're going through really dark times, because it can feel like nothing I ever do is good enough. What more do you want from me? And if that's familiar to you, then just remember that there's nothing you need to do extra, right? It's remembering your power. It's remembering your value, remembering your confidence, remembering your strength, your worth, so that you can really move forward unencumbered by other people's bullshit and or expectations or seeking approval, because you know that now this is your path. You are taking responsibility. You are here to serve. It's not just about you, but the more you serve, the more abundance returns to you, because you are being unconditional with your service and your love. So it's a very intense energy, a very intense card to start this present energy in terms of our romantic relationship. So, wow. And to clarify that, codependency, this is not a surprise. Addictions are affecting your romantic life. It's taken me a little while to understand codependency a little bit deeper, because before I had thought about codependency and kind of the external egotistic views of codependency. And what's really interesting is the deeper you dig in terms of codependency and how it affects relationships, the more you can see that really underneath it all, codependency is an addiction to love, an addiction to pain, actually. So what is coming underneath the love is the pain, because when someone's insecure about themselves or not really sure about their worth or value, they're going to see issues where there aren't really any in another person. And if you're insecure about yourself and you're putting others first before you, then you're going to breed resentment towards the other person where there doesn't need to be any, because you're giving too much, right? And they didn't ask for it, but you just gave it. So there's a real energy of addictions to pain, addictions to that reward and take away energy. So if you find that there's that roller coaster energy, then usually that means there's a trauma bond being built. And so there's going to be dependency instead of interdependency, where both people are free. Both people are in their kind of divine energy here. So this is, divinity and ego. So how are we allowing our ego to transform, change, and evolve at this time, right? Because it's a really hard and challenging thing to actually look at yourself and go, wow, I was codependent, and this relationship had aspects of toxicity because of old programming or an old relationship that I didn't let go of, or just stuff that I brought forward, garbage, junk that I brought forward and put onto somebody else. And that really sabotaged something. And you might be getting clarity about that right now, because we are moving into retrogrades. And so that is reviewing and revisiting. And also, of course, we have this introspection, this isolation. So really, codependency, your addiction to unhealthy relationship aspects or traits, because you don't necessarily have to look at a relationship and go, oh, that was a toxic relationship. Yes, it could have been. But what do you need to have a toxic relationship? You need two toxic people or toxic elements within those two people activated and at play. And that's what makes that interdynamic. Because if you don't have someone who's playing a victim, then you don't have, a perpetrator either, right? And if you're not rescuing, then you don't have that dynamic. So there's the victim, perpetrator, rescuer dynamic. And in that dynamic, all three are actually a victim. So you're trying to obtain something from someone else outside of yourself because it isn't pre-existing. You have an insecurity there. So you're reaching for love or validation or approval from somebody else. And this is why it's addictive, right? Because it feels like you can't help yourself. And this is why it's actually really challenging to move away from people who were toxic at one point or had toxic energies that were just too much, right? So we each have this spectrum. And so someone who's toxic at one point in your life may not be toxic at all times in your life. However, that's something you have to judge intuitively, because if someone doesn't change or evolve or look at their dependencies and their addictions, then they can continue to be toxic. And in that case, you want to move your energy away from that person because they can and will bring you down. So if you're focusing on healing you, which is all you can do, and moving that focus away from somebody else, then you can recognize that codependency is an invitation to love yourself more. It's an invitation to strengthen your boundaries. It's an invitation to say no more often and to really come back into tune with your intuition as well, because sometimes anxiety or wanting to control, and codependency is also all about control. A lot of addictions are about control, trying to control the world around you because it feels so out of control. It feels chaotic, right? So you do anything you can to establish that control again. So it really is this invitation to come back home to yourself, to realign, re-examine what's going on, what energies you can let go of and break the pattern of, break the cycle of, which could be many ancestors, could be a mother, could go back on to the grandmom, great-grandmom, and the male side as well. So whatever it is that resonates for you, but this is big work. This is huge work to break addictions in relationships. And one of the reasons why this is so prevalent and harmful in our relationships is, I just lost my train of thought there. Right. Is that when you're intimate with someone, usually you'll give them more leeway, which actually shouldn't be the case. So it's calling out those that you love in addition to those friends, acquaintances, work, coworkers, right? So if you had a situation where a coworker would say something nasty to you and you would say, no, that's unacceptable. Don't talk to me like that. But if your lover said the same thing, you kind of go, oh, why did they say that? It takes you back and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. You want to spin something to make them fit into the energy that you've placed for them, like maybe on a pedestal, maybe rose-colored glasses. It's harder for us to actually see any faults or energies that might not be compatible when we're first entering into a relationship, because there's hormones, there's new energies. So this one is really complicated, and don't feel overwhelmed. Well, I guess feel free to feel overwhelmed, but just know that that's totally legitimate, because breaking the pattern of addiction and codependency in relationship is probably one of the biggest challenges or part of your work that you have to do in this lifetime. So if you're starting that, or you have already begun the healing of that, kudos to you. You are a champion. You are a warrior. So continue to do this work on letting go of addiction to pain, addiction to that push-pull. So when someone's, doing the silent treatment or not paying attention to you, or you're wondering, are they texting someone else or whatnot? And then they give you lots of love and attention, and you kind of go, oh, I guess I'll forget about that suspicion I just had, or that gut feeling I just had. And then they do it again, and they're not paying attention. They're cold. Maybe they're detached. And then, oh, they love you again. That is codependency in action. That is also trauma bond, and it releases serotonin in your brain. So it actually becomes a true physical addiction, which is, most addictions change the physiology of your brain. So it's not just choice or this concept of addiction is actually because of neurotransmitters in your brain being affected. So know that it might take some time to release and relinquish some of this attachment to suffering or those dynamics. So the healthier you become, the more your dynamic will actually be more like this instead of, which you might actually have sort of gotten off on in the past, which is unfortunate, but that's what we're that's what we are dismantling and transforming and transmuting, is actually feeling safe in that stable, healthy energy and that reciprocal energy, instead of feeling at home or comfortable in that volatile back and forth, you love me, you don't love me, or I'm secure, I'm insecure, I'm worthy, I'm unworthy, I'm not sure, I'm good enough, I'm not good enough, etc. So a lot of energy is going on here, you guys. Let's see what our affirmator card has to clarify. Curiosity. So here we have the key and the trunk. It says, "Hi, Miriam. Meeting new people, I remember what a treasure trove of opinions, interests, and stories they are. But these treasures will only be unlocked if I embrace my curiosity. So I'll be curious and you be interesting. Deal?" So this one is about opening up to meeting new people, new friends, allowing new situations, new life to come in, because sometimes we do need to see different perspectives and energies, after we've been really in the thick of it for a little while. So if there's been a lot of pain or there's been a lot of triggers or activations, it might be really hard to connect in with some of those people because there's trauma there's fear there, right? So working through that fear, working through those anxieties will bring you to a place where you are ready, or you are confident to communicate. And part of this energy of curiosity right now is letting those fears go and allowing yourself to be vulnerable again, to trust and talk to people. So you could look at it as practicing your discernment as well, because if we're coming out of energy of vulnerability, tough times, heartbreak, you can be really afraid to let people in again. And if you've lost trust in yourself, that can also really impact your ability to get out there or date. So really check in with your energy at this time. This is a love reading. This is a romance reading. So maybe some of you guys are looking at putting yourself out there again, or you're just starting to date online or whatnot, or you've just met someone. So just be aware that cut yourself some slack and cut other people some slack right now too, because many of us might be just coming out of kind of rigmarole with analyzing our relationship patterns. So looking back at the past, looking at ourselves, looking at partners. And so really understanding that there's a lot of divine timing at play. There's a lot of self-work at play, and trying not to force things right now. So it's challenging, it's difficult, but start to get that curiosity again, start to get that wonder again. What would it be like meeting someone again? Perhaps let go of the attachment to the end result. If you're in that energy of, I don't think I can ever do this again, maybe just look at it as, I'm going to practice my communication skills again. I'm going to practice my discernment again, like I said before. So you can look at these online dating or conversations, or, if whatever it is for you, it could be just with friends, connecting with friends, and just kind of recognize when your body goes, something that was said, with spite, or that wasn't said with kindness. Touch base with your body and what your gut instinct is. And if you are ready and you are open to being vulnerable again and getting curious with other people again, then, it's focusing on how much a person has to offer in terms of all of their experiences combined. So really try to look at the whole picture of someone and, give them a little bit of time to reveal who they are, and just make sure that you are paying attention to being authentic to them, and also paying attention to whether they're being authentic back, right? So really standing in your truth at this time. And if you do find you get kind of befuddled and you're saying things that you don't really want to say, or you kind of lead someone in the wrong direction, there's always time to back up the trolley and go, okay, you know what? I was a bit nervous. I have just come out of a challenging relationship. And if that scares you, toodaloo. And if you can hold space for that, that's kind of why I was a little bit tongue-tied, or I wasn't sure if I should say this or that. So really be honest. Bring honesty and transparency to the forefront in these new connections that you have. Okay, so what's going on for the future? Wow, it's kind of similar, all of these cards, but this one is very interesting because of the situation with COVID-19. We actually have pulled the card of immunity. So take a look at that one there for a minute. It's very beautiful. Very beautiful. Kind of looks like little buggies in there. But, and of course we've got the green and the blue, so heart chakra energy, throat chakra, and a little bit of pink. So definitely a lot of heart energy. And we are healing our high heart right now. So let's see what we got going here. Oops. I don't know why I pulled that one. There. So immunity. The immunity card comes when we are feeling as though we are under attack. You may be experiencing disagreements or arguments. Perhaps you're feeling belittled, unworthy, or misunderstood. Whatever the case may be, there is a feeling of the need to protect yourself. Sometimes these feelings may not even involve an individual person, but are perceived from the world at large. It's important that you stay grounded at this time and not fall into old patterns of behaviors or reactions. Heads up, this is an opportunity to deal with your feelings and the situation in a healthier way. So responding instead of reacting. If you would have felt pressured to give an answer right away before, you go, thank you so much for being honest and telling me that. I really appreciate it. I'm going to take some time to think about it, and I will get back to you in a couple days or a week or whatever it is for you. So you are not responsible for what others say, think, believe, or feel. So if other people are projecting, or paranoia is starting to get to them and they actually don't know the truth and they assume something without doing a little digging, that's on them. That's not on you. So you really, like I said, stand in your truth and stand up for what's right for you and your own values. So don't sink down to other people's level. If there's gossip or someone comes through and they're really hurtful or vicious, then you just, what? I'm not interested in games anymore. Manipulation tactics, I'm moving away from that. So if that's what you want to bring to the table, then I'm not coming for dinner, so to speak. So it says you do not have to own it or try to fix or change anything in an attempt to appease them. And that's also something about that codependency energy. Whereas you may have learned to really change yourself to meet someone else's mood swings. You didn't want to rock the boat or cause conflict. So you might be one of those people who walks on eggshells in order to avoid conflict. And if you were really traumatized by this as a child, you might really fear conflict in any shape or form. And so that will be a huge trigger for you, and that will cause a huge amount of problems in relationships, because healthy people won't stand for that, right? So that also brings up a choice to change, choice point. It says every person on this planet is responsible for their own behavior. So really just focus on standing in your own truth, your own integrity, taking your time, putting yourself first. It says the immunity card offers you a layer of protection from the negative energy surrounding the situation. So this could be a personal situation where communication starts to move. We're letting go of codependency. We're being curious. We're inviting people in again. And so this is where we are vulnerable, when we're inviting people in again. So it is saying that when we do that, we have to energetically be aware of protecting ourselves. And we can do that through healthy boundaries and using our words and communicating assertively, and telling people what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Kathy, you made it. All right. So It also says this also helps you to see the bigger picture and how to resolve the matter in a way that ensures the highest good for all involved. Because when we can't see the whole picture, so say you have a friend or a lover, someone that you want in your life, and they're off doing something and you're like, oh, what are you doing? Or you're judging them, or they're doing something unhealthy. The only thing you can do is step away and support them in the way you can, if you can, but also recognize that by allowing that behavior to happen in your presence, then you're enabling them to do so. So you're lowering your standards, you're settling for behavior that doesn't work for you. So just be aware of that. It says, just as your physical body builds its immune system, energetically, you are building a healthy response system to negative experiences and people. Yes, this is the key point here, because we're coming from that vulnerability, the hard times, dismantling and recognizing our codependency and our addictions and relationships, and really learning to build with healthy people. And so really learning to move away from those negative energies, because they're choosing to stay there. Everyone has a choice to evolve and change. So if they're choosing to stay there, then that's their responsibility, and you move on forward, because in the abundant universe, not the universe of lack and poverty, there is someone who will meet you at the frequency and level you are at. So if you have a specific person in mind, then try to release and let go of that energy so that the universe can be abundant and full of infinite possibilities for you, right? So just open it up. You can include that person in your visions and your affirmations, but open it up to the possibility that there might be someone even better for you, an even better fit, compatibility, sex life, it's got to all be there. Intellect, physical attraction, sex life, or pleasure, whatever it is for you. If that's not important for you, that's fine. But for me, I need it all. It has to be mind, body, soul. So it's going to have a lot of compatibility and frequency as well, alignment. So it says, you will not be affected in the same way should this type of situation occur again in the future. So that fear you might have of being taken advantage of again, or for letting something go in which you look back and you think, maybe, I should have stood up for myself a little bit sooner, or yes, okay, I can see I was settling there and I didn't communicate. I wasn't honest with myself or others. And so that prolonged a situation and caused suffering for either myself or others. You can be confident in yourself that you have learned this lesson and it will not repeat. So that can help alleviate some anxiety and distrust issues. So moving forward, I am confident. I can see the truth in people. And I am assertive about communicating what works for me and what doesn't. So this is very interesting. It says you will gain a healthy form of protection on the inside and no longer need to energetically wear a shell of protection on the outside. And this is really important for those who have found it really hard to be vulnerable in the first place. It's saying that when you put that wall up, you are, if you're investing and you've got the wall up, you're really investing kind of into a black hole, because at some point it's going to come crashing down. And so that is self-sabotage at its best, is investing in something when you're continuously planting seeds of doubt and you're continually undermining your ability to be vulnerable because of trauma. So it's not that you created that in yourself, but there is a responsibility to heal it and transform it in yourself. So if you feel like you have walls, like an ancient castle, it's really time to take those walls down and learn how to protect yourself internally. Learn how to psychically protect yourself. Learn how to protect your energy from the inside out. And so one of those things that I do in my meditations or healing is instead of saying like, okay, angels heal me or spirit heal me, I actually think about it as energy coming from within myself. And so if I wanted to do heart healing, I would emanate my light coming out from inside my core and shining out through my heart, so that it actually goes through my own heart and out to the universe, because that's me healing me. That's my divine energy healing myself. And so that is looking to the internal to heal, instead of looking for something outside of yourself. So it says, those around you will feel the shift in your energy as you become more accepting and open to letting others into your personal world. And this is really beautiful as well, because if you've been stuck in a situation, or if there's been a problem that it didn't seem like there was a solution, and it was just so like, you know, something stuck in the cog of a wheel and you just couldn't get it free and it's just a mess. Or, you know, when a necklace gets entangled and you're trying to figure out how to, and, you know, for the life of you just toss it to the side because it's really hard to disentangle that. At some point in the past, we've stepped away from it because we just couldn't handle it. It was too much pain, too much suffering, too much. So exhaustion for many of us. So we can look at that compassionately and go, okay, it's not just me that was exhausted. It was this other person in this situation. So really understanding that there's so many elements that you can see, but are also subconscious or, you know, unseen, that it is important to allow spirit to assist you at this time, to allow guidance to come in at this time. So know that if there are arguments because there's impatience right now in the collective, there's fear about the future. What is the future going to look like? That uncertainty can really breed doubt and fear energy in the consciousness. So I can see how spirit might be warning us in terms of when we are looking to be vulnerable and open again, to do so with caution, right? So we don't need the walls. We don't need like the axe or the sword going out and like, hey, you know, want a date? But we can be cautious and know that, you know, as we move out of the energies of those elements that don't serve us, we might need a little bit more time to integrate them as we move forward. So be cautious as you meet new people and really dig a little deeper. You know, don't, you know, jump in right away. Take some time, enjoy yourself, and move slowly. Ooh. Past life relationship. You have known each other before. So this is to clarify the immunity card. So there's a couple different things without seeing the clarifier at the bottom yet. So when we have someone coming in from either the past or past life relationship, it can mean a couple different things. So what I usually recognize in a soulmate or karmic connection is you automatically feel like you know them. So your guard just kind of falls down, and I won't elaborate on that. And sometimes you can let a person in really quickly because your soul feels like you know that soul on a deeper level. However, in this lifetime, you don't know what they're embodying in terms of their soul contract with you. It could be like an enemy energy. It could be someone who's, you know, comes into your life to cause a lot of friction and to really pull your shadows out. And so it sounds like from this reading, that is what we had in the past. Someone who really mirrored and reflected back. You know, if you're like, you did this, and then it would reflect back to you that, you know, like that's just ping, 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 back and forth in terms of energies that are coming from trauma or victimization, etc. So now that we've had our eyeballs opened up to that and we can see and we're working on it, just be aware that this past life person that's coming in can be a soulmate, can be a karmic energy. So really use your new energy, your new instincts to suss out the situation, right? So do their actions and their words align? Does your gut kind of, clamp up, or is it like, okay, this is good? Do you recognize patterns from a codependent relationship? Or are you feeling a little bit uncomfortable because it's healthy, because it feels more safe? So really kind of touch base with the energies in which you feel in healthy relationships and hold it to that standard. So if you have like a really good friendship that you look at and say, this is really healthy. When I need them, they're there. When they need me, I'm there. There's a healthy independence. So we both do our own thing. We don't judge each other for our differences. Look at those energies of healthy boundaries and healthy connection and communication, and then check in and see, does this new relationship or does this new person or person from the past, have they changed? Are they being truthful? Are they being honest? And how can they show up for me and I can show up for them so that we both know we're on the same page and we're aligned and compatible? So very interesting energy. It does mean or indicate that someone is coming into your life who you have past life experience with. So it's going to be a very quick connection. So remember to dig a little deeper when those quick connections come in, because for those of you who are highly sensitive or are empaths, those are the ones where you're kind of at the greater risk. So because we are moving into vulnerability, because we do want to be curious, we don't want to just shut down and go, run away screaming, but we do also want to be a little bit more cautious and move slowly this time. So instead of going forward like the hare, we are going to be wee little tortoises. All right, so let's clarify that future card. Listening. Oh my gosh. So this is a thing of mine. This is definitely a message for me as well. That's one thing I recognize from my weaknesses in relationship is I'm really good at talking. So that serves me well for this forum, right? However, in relationships, it's been a little bit harder for me to actively listen, to really listen with all of my senses. Because when you are intuitive, sometimes you can get ahead of yourself. So you pick something up about someone and you're like, okay, I can see that. But you're not listening to what their experience is. Because sometimes it doesn't matter what you can see. It matters what they can see. So who do they think they are? And that's why that quote, I believe it was Maya Angelou, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And it doesn't matter what you see in them as potential or whatnot, because if they can't see that in themselves, then that does not matter at all. So let's see what the card has to say. It's got this little elephant and a mouse. So let's check it. I activate my receptive side, so feminine side, and become an engaged, intuitive, professional-grade listener. Supercharged listening gives me the ability to not only hear the words others are saying, but also to perceive the emotions hiding between their words. Armed with this knowledge, I'll be in a great position to give them exactly what they need, or if I prefer, to dominate the planet. So, coming in with that immunity card and the past life relationship card, it really does seem like there's going to be some communication coming up, and we're really going to have to navigate it with tact. So compassion, kindness, tact, forgiveness, higher vision, protection. So we come first, right? So if someone's coming in hot and they need to get something off their chest, that's fine. However, where are you at? Is this a good time? Can we talk tomorrow? Right? Be sure right off the hop that you're working with your boundaries and you're checking in with yourself, because in vulnerability, you still have to be aware of your energy levels and your health and your mental space, so that you can be the best listener that you can, right? If your well is filled up, if you're rested and rejuvenated, if you've got lots of sleep, if you're meditating, whatever it is for you, if you're exercising, or if you've had time on your own to explore some options that you had wanted to, And this is why you didn't want to commit, or you wanted to play the field, or whatever it was, you know. You just have to know that it's not just about you. There's two people involved. And so if there's heavy communications coming up with people from, you know, the past, or a new person that you've known before as a soulmate or karmic, your focus is going to be on listening. So it's not, what I'm getting here intuitively is that many of you were actually put in a position of service to assist someone else to evolve, awaken, transform, grow. You were there as a catalyst for them, more so than they were there for a catalyst for you. You also will have gained perspective, gifts, value from that energy or that person or that dynamic. But there's something that my guides are telling me, that you really did sacrifice something for the benefit of a cycle being changed, transformed, broken. And there's something really gentle and generous about that. And so this person might want to share that with you in some way. So if you got your guard up against them, you know, if you're heavily protecting yourself to the point where your energy field isn't allowing that in, I think, you know, really pay attention to your intuition and your guidance at this time, because there might be some difficult conversations that need to be had. There might be some truth or information that comes in that might be difficult to hear, but ultimately it's for the highest and best. And this energy is really saying, for those of you who are watching or catching the replay, and that this reading drew you in, it's time to actively listen. It's time to really listen to what someone's saying. And by listening, we're also employing that discernment, because what it said was listen to the feelings between the words. So not everyone is a really good communicator, and that's something that's healing as well. So do your best to be magnanimous. Do your best to be the highest version of yourself when you're having these conversations, or when information comes in. Really do your best to step into the shoes in which you want to emanate, not necessarily the old shoes from the past, right? You know, the victim shoes. So you're not a victim. Move forward confidently and know that you can receive someone else's truth. You have the capacity, you have the courage and the fortitude to receive that energy, those messages that are coming through. All right, guys. So that is the past, present, future energies for this live romance reading. I'm just going to grab a glass of water. You guys are going to love this. I swear it's water. But I also did enjoy my twist of fate there. So now comes the fun part. Not that that wasn't fun, but Kathy, I'm going to pull a card for you first, because that was requested beforehand. And then if you're watching and you would like a 1-card personal card pull for you, then put yes, please in the comments, and I will do my best to pull a card for you. So Kathy, what are you feeling? Are you feeling the new Affirmators deck? Or the, so actually if you do yes, please, pick your deck, say pink or blue, and I will pull from that one. If you don't comment, I will just use my intuition. So I'm just going to take 1 sec here to see if Kathy picks one. And okay, pink. All right, pink. Kathy. And I'm leaving the other cards out. So the vulnerability, listening, and curiosity are out. So I'm not putting those back into the deck. So just know that. All right. So this is for Kathy, her highest and best. What does Kathy's higher self want her to know about her love life at this time? Sensuality. Interesting. This says, embracing sensuality doesn't necessarily mean you're a middle-aged swinger. Sorry, that's hilarious. It simply means you're savoring one of the coolest aspects of being alive, sensory input. It's time to get decadent and reward yourself with gifts for the senses. Champagne, cherry, or strawberries, maybe cherries. I don't know. Maybe you want to practice. It's time to get decadent and reward yourself with gifts for the senses. You could drop a wad of cash on champagne and chocolate, or you could tune in and enjoy the incredible gifts around you, the taste of an orange, the sounds of the forest, the texture of ... corduroy? I don't know your life. The point is, it's time to savor whatever your senses can grab hold of, even if that means you're being sensual. Gross. That is awesome. So, Kathy, definitely time to seek pleasure, seek attraction. So if you see a rose or you see a flower and you think, I don't have time to go sniff that rose or whatever, go for it. And if you want to take yourself out on a date before, having a date with someone else, bring that energy in. I'm going to totally take your card for myself too. And I'm going to take myself out on a date this week and treat myself, girl. I like this card. Anyway, so really tapping into your pleasure center. So, when we seek pleasure outside of ourselves too, so if we're always looking for someone else to give us pleasure, then we're kind of missing out on half the fun. So, taking responsibility for your own pleasure. That's part of your energies for this week, Kathy. So that's an awesome card. So let's see. Next one we have is, so Stacy, you wanted the blue. So let's go. Stacy for the blue. This is for Stacy's highest and best. Yeah. Date night. We're all taking ourselves on dates this week. E-date. Grocery date. All right. Ooh, Stacy. Someone's got the gift. So here is your card. Gifted. So beautiful. Look at that. I love this mirroring energy too. And I get this kind of concept of the infinity energy as well, if that means anything for you. But let's give this a go and see. Stacy's gifted. Gifted, baby, she's got it. She got something to give. This card is a reminder that you are most certainly talented, gifted, and skilled in a very special way. It's time to stop looking outside and comparing yourself to others. Ooh, Lordy. Your gifts were never intended to function or work exactly the same as another person's gift. By looking at how others are more gifted or better than you, or have more subscribers or whatever it is, you are unintentionally sending energy out to the universe, which says you are less than. So going back to this energy for all of us of abundance and creativity mindset versus poverty and lack mindset. This action is the very thing that is blocking your gifts from developing to their fullest potential. You cannot compare yourself to anyone else. If you see greatness in someone else, it is because you hold the quality of greatness within you. And I love that. It's true. If you see someone else and you're like, dang, they got it, it's because you have that too, right? And we all have our different path. We all have our different timeline to expressing our full truth and our gifts. So just know that you are definitely on the path for bringing your gifts forward in a more powerful way in terms of leadership as well. It says that is how the world mirrors ourselves for us, by seeing ourselves in others. This card can also come if you're experiencing fear or apprehension about sharing your gifts with the world. And I do feel that with you. Either you haven't started and you're just thinking about getting into something, whether it's healing, there's something that you have. This is interesting. I don't know if it's medium or colors or smells. There's something interesting with your sixth sense, Stacy. And I do think maybe it's family members or friends that you feel might not be supportive of you in that endeavor, or just feeling like the black sheep or the outsider or the fringe and not wanting to move into that energy again because it hasn't really panned out in the past. So it does seem like those fears, Spirit is asking you to start addressing those beliefs immediately. Sometimes our fear of sharing our gift is the very thing that blocks us from discovering how we can best use it in service to others. And I do feel money is important here too, because you're trying to figure out how can you create abundance and financial stability and also utilize this gift as well. So in either case, the gifted card comes because you're doubting yourself, questioning who you are as a person or whether you have anything of value to give. This could also be in romantic relationship too. So really having a relationship setback, a situation where it really affected your confidence, and starting to recultivate that self-worth and know that someone else's opinion of you or inability to meet you in relationship, that is not a reflection of your self-worth and your value. So you were given certain gifts because only you could bring them to the world in the way that you do. Trust your soul's wisdom in choosing the path you're on and gifts you're here to give. So big energy for you there, Stacey. That's a lot of energy to keep in mind in terms of moving forward. But it is saying that there are a couple mental and energetic blocks for you that you can totally start to dismantle and bring down in terms of being afraid of what others think, or being afraid to take that next step in your journey as a healer. So that's an awesome card for everybody that is listening there. So let's see. Sally, I'm going to go with the affirmators because I don't see that you picked one or the other. So Sally, let's see what energy your higher self wants you to know. Awesome, Stacey. I'm glad that resonated with you. You got it, girl. You got it. You can do it. I just feel like I'm there too with you. I am there too. Like, I am right there with you. Oh, here we go. Okay, Sally, this energy is for you from the Love and Relationships Affirmators deck. Depth. Here we go. We're going in. So there's some weird little onion with a toupee. So as new people show up in my life, I look for all the weird, wonderful, complex layers below their surface. I can't be surprised by someone's depth of character unless I'm willing to peel back the outer layers and go a little deeper. It's like the brand new saying goes, don't judge an onion by its haircut. These are funny. So this is for everybody who's still on. We really, there's that warning energy here, but it's also just about learning to dig beneath the surface, right? So like I was saying, a soulmate connection comes in and you're like, boom, I know this person. And it could turn out in the past to have been like the most terrible relationship you've ever been in because they triggered you on every single level. And that was just a huge cataclysmic, catalyst for you really digging deep and changing yourself and transforming yourself. And so with this energy too, it is saying that, right off the hop, people might be a little tentative right now to just divulge and share everything. So if you know that you would be like that as well, allow yourself to take time with someone. And like the listening card came in, what am I trying to say here? In order to learn and really hear what someone is saying to us, what their body language is saying, what their eyes are telling us, what our gut instinct is telling us, what their tone is saying, how they smell even. Like, do they take care of themselves? It's time for us to listen, really actively listen, and then we can start digging a little bit deeper by taking the time to really get to know someone. So, Sally, if you're in this stage right now, where I actually don't know what's going on with you, but if someone has caught your eye or there's a rekindling in your life, it's definitely time to actually get down to those deeper layers in terms of yourself and this person, in terms of, how they can surprise you. So people might be surprising us. They might have more depth than we thought in the future. This is very interesting. So that's a cool card for you to get there, Sally. Hopefully that resonated with you. And Teresa. So Teresa, I'm going to just alternate unless you have specified, which I don't think you have. So Teresa, I'm going to pull from Cheryl Lee Harnish's deck. Well, this was fun. I'm glad you guys came on. Thanks for joining me tonight. I love seeing you guys. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. Just really supports me in building my following and spreading my message to others. So, all right, here we go. This message is for Teresa. And hopefully the feed doesn't go crazy. Although I think we've got some, oh, here we go. We've got some protective guidance for this reading. So, woo! Okay, I've had this one before. Caretaker. So this one is definitely involving the solar plexus chakra, which we haven't really talked about this reading, or I haven't really kind of paid attention to this for a little bit. But this is a really beautiful energy here, and I will go into the card explanation. But it does kind of indicate, actually, are you in the healthcare industry as well? Like, do you take care of people? Because I feel like there's this element to you where you have this really strong mothering, like mother quality. There is a part of you that really needs to claim your independence again, but there is this just natural innate part of you that has this really nurturing energy. So hopefully that resonates for you there. But here we go, caretaker. Okay, so it says, you are an endless giver. If anyone has a need or requires assistance in any way, you are right there to help. Essentially, you are an earth angel. Every life you touch is made better, whether you know it or not. Your heart is big, and the support and love you give is even bigger. You are one of the souls who are here to either nurture the world or the people in it, or both. However, there comes a time when we have to consider our own needs over others. We have to make our own well-being a priority, even if that means it may not please others. So I think that's kind of a hint as well to this immunity card. Like, some people might have to get over themselves while we're changing here, or we might have to get over something. So there is this energy of justice, like the scales of balance coming into play here. So I'll keep reading for you. Although it may feel as though it is going against your very nature to do so, it is vital that you put yourself first. Vital. Your physical and emotional well-being needs to be nurtured and maintained. This ensures that when you do give to someone else, what you give has substance. Your personal value cannot be defined solely in what or how much you give to others. Your value and worth as a person come from all the incredible qualities that make you, you. So you don't have to give in order for you to be valuable. And that is also a very strong tendency with that codependency energy that we were talking about in the beginning is, and this has been my energy as well in the past, and I'm dismantling it now as well, is feeling that rush of confidence or feeling that self-worth because you give so much. So it runs into the energy of the martyr complex where, if we're giving and giving and giving, but no one's asking for it, and then the enabling energy comes in, and then the resentment energy comes in. So it's also an energy of balance. Hi, Lilith. How's it going? And Christy, welcome to the channel. So really bringing everything into balance in terms of giving and taking, but it really goes further than that. It's about how you value yourself and equally valuing receiving energy from others. So really looking at your relationships and going, okay, who is a taker? Because if you're in a relationship with someone for quite some time and you're always overgiving and they get used to it and they're overtaking, it can take a little bit of time to actually balance those energies out. So one of the cards was talking about those difficult conversations. And I think this can lend to where people might get a little bit PO'd or jealous or envious or taken off guard. When we put boundaries down or stand our ground, other people do have to adapt. It's not our responsibility to cater to them, but we can give them a heads up and say, I'm changing how I am because I don't want to be this caregiver who just gives and gives and gives and doesn't receive in return. So I'm balancing my energy and putting myself first. And so I just want you to know that that's part of what's happening here. And if they can't get on board with that, then that's something you'll have to navigate as well. But let's see here. I just want to finish the card here. So it says, maybe this is a time you finally say no or create a boundary in some way. It is time to give to yourself and restore a balance in your life. You're a beautiful soul with much to give and a beautiful soul who deserves to receive. If there is something you need, or if you could use a little assistance, Spirit is encouraging you to allow others the opportunity to give to you. You know from your own experience how good it feels to give, so now you need to give the ultimate gift and allow someone else to give to you. It's time to allow the caretaker to be taken care of. I love it! So definitely coming into your own in terms of realizing that you can give and get a lot of joy and satisfaction from that, but it's also equally as important to receive from others and allow them the gift of giving, and also to put yourself first. And that can be a really challenging shift, and that's where I am too. I'm just learning how to put myself first. And it actually is very freeing. I do find that there's actually a really freeing energy that comes from that. Sorry, we're about an hour and a half in, and my throat's getting a little bit sore. So let me just take a look. It looks like, good. I'm glad that answered your question for you. Okay, so it looks like Chrissy and Lilith, if you are still there, I will pull a card for you, and then that is it. Unfortunately, my voice just can't do any more. So let's do for Chrissy. Chrissy, I'm going to pull from the Affirmators card unless you, I don't know if you're still here, Chrissy, but if you want from the blue or pink deck, and Lilith, if you want from the blue or pink, just choose one or the two, or else I'll choose for you. So this message is for Lilith if she's still here. Oh, sorry. I meant Chrissy. And that's so funny. It came up with sensuality again. So we're really being asked to pay attention to our own pleasure. Pay attention to what we find sensual, because it's not just sex with another person. It's not just looking at, whoever you're attracted to, men or women or non-binary. It's really about, what are you attracted to in all different ways. So scents, tastes, flavors, textures, like really expanding your consciousness right now in terms of what brings us pleasure. So Chrissy, this one was for you, and all about sensuality. And so I did read this card out before for Kathy, so we have already explored this energy, but it really is about taking yourself on a date. So really treat yourself how you would treat someone that you really loved and cared about, like all those little things. If you leave little notes for someone, for them to find in their pocket, or buy a cute little gift or flowers, it's time to really do that for yourself this week. And Lilith, so this is your energy for romance at this time. This is the message from your higher self. What do you need to know to help you move forward? And donations are always welcome. I put the link up in the top of the comments there. You can find that on the video once it's uploaded. But this one is for Lilith. Let's see, what are your energies? What do you need to know? There we go. So, ooh, hello. This one's pretty wild. I think we got a starseed with us. So here we go. Contact. This one is awesome. This makes me feel like you connect to higher realms, like you really do have actually an interplanetary kind of alternate dimension connection. You might have experience with psychedelics or even fractal art, just energy and tuning into really interesting frequencies, having higher knowledge. Maybe you tune into the Akashic records, but there's definitely something about you that has this higher knowledge that not a lot of people actually do. So you might also experience really vivid dreams. You might have astral projection. You might have like, I'm really getting lucid dreaming here as well. Like things actually come to fruition from your dreams or your visualizations. So let's get to see what this card actually says for you. But it seems like an awesome card already. If it's hard to look into this, but it almost looks like a zipper. So it's like unlocking or unleashing something within you as well. And definitely blue. So communication could be like thinking about a vocal cord there. So maybe you like to sing as well, or really needing to bring you something, an experience that you have had, whether writing or blogging, or coming on like I am here on a YouTube channel and really expressing your story. So leaving a legacy somehow, some way. So here it says, life's great synchronicities and the alignment of fateful events is very dependent on our contact and connections with other people. You have drawn this card today because it is important for you to make contact with someone in particular in your life. This one-on-one communication could be by phone, email, text message, or in person. In whatever way that contact happens, it is important that you reach out. Sometimes we resist or procrastinate doing the very things that will help to move us along our path. The contact card is asking that you look at whatever resistance you may have and gently push yourself forward to do what needs to be done. Perhaps you need to contact someone and deal with an emotional issue you would rather avoid. Maybe you have neglected speaking with a family member, loved one, or friend. This just resonates so much with the last line of our cards with immunity, past life relationship, and curiosity, or listening. It says, this will help to aid in the flow of new energy, healing, empowerment, and manifestation in your life. So this could be an ex, because we are in a love reading, but this could be just something that either needs to be cut off and let go of or transformed. So there's something to be said when we move forward and we're uncertain as to whether someone else has moved forward or not, we can be kind of terrified or afraid to actually see, right? We might fear that they lied to us before, so can we trust them? All sorts of things, right? So, listen to your intuition first and foremost, but this card is indicating for you that there may be some stagnant energy that has to be cleared up. And remember, I was talking about vocal cords. So that definitely is in alignment with you, that there's something in your life that needs to be cleared up with another person, and it's really being supported. And so you do actually have angelic guidance with you at this time, and you can use your dreams and those signs and signals to assist you to know when that time is right for you. But don't dilly-dally too long, because there is an opportunity here to clear up a mess, to clear up something energetically that's holding you back. And so if you can clear that up, it would be fantastic, because then you unleash this freedom, right? So we go from the energy of being contracted because we haven't finished something. And so we'll try to move, but we just kind of feel like we're pulled back. That energy can be closed off at this time or transformed. So it says, energetically, you will be free to set up and align the next step of your journey. This card can also indicate that there is a very important person coming along in your life with whom you're about to connect. Holy macaroni. If you missed it, this was the card that came up in our future position. So we do have some soulmates or possibly karmic people coming in. So just be aware of that. It says, be present within yourself when meeting anyone new over the next week or two. Be mindful of the energy surrounding anyone you connect with. This is huge. If you guys have been watching from the start, you guys know the universe is saying again, be cautious of who is coming in. Not overly cautious, not paranoid, right? But be cautious. Dig a little deep. Be curious. Allow yourself to be curious, but also allow yourself to be cautious. So once again, be mindful of the energies surrounding anyone you connect with, especially if it is an unexpected or synchronistic, as this person could be playing an important role in your future. So it goes both ways. Be cautious not to send them packing too quick. Hear the person out. Really get connected, because we want to make sure that we are in love and confidence moving forward, and we're not in doubt and fear and smallness. So this is an awesome card to finish off the reading, because after coming out of those dark times like we got with the violet flame and trauma and seeing things that need to change, it can be really hard to believe the best in people. So we don't want to have rose-colored glasses, but we don't want to have, the black as night glasses on either. So let's find somewhere in the mid-spectrum where we can be open to learning about someone, like Sally's card, allowing the deeper layers to surface. Maybe someone was superficial and they've had an awakening and they've done some work and now they have more depth to their character. It's really interesting. Nice. It's really interesting when those energies align. So caution is needed. Make sure you're putting yourself first. This is for everybody. And be playful and sensual. So take yourself out on a date this week. Really get into that energy of romance and sensuality, and really exploring the senses. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed the reading, make sure to like, subscribe, and/or share. And of course, I'll be putting up some information for how to book a reading with me. And you guys have an awesome night. I will connect in with you guys next time. So thanks a lot. Love you lots. Bye for now. Mwah. You are welcome. Ciao.